exclusive Taking Agriculture Forward, a Food System Approach. I'm very excited, and I know all my panelists are. We welcome you, and of course this evening we will be commencing our discussion addressing the issue Taking Agriculture Forward. It's a two-part program, and of course during that we plan to cover 6 areas of critical importance. We want to look at agriculture. We also plan on looking at the challenges and the appropriate responses, opportunities for expansion and diversification, infrastructure, human capital, the Grenada Marketing and National Importing Board, and farming as a livelihood. We're talking here about the real experience. We've put together a panel of individuals who will inform the discussion that is based on their training and their expertise in the field of agriculture. We warmly welcome them to the program. We go to a break. When we come back, we will invite each of our panelists to say something short about themselves. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Is what 1 gallon of water looks like. Now, consider these facts. It takes about 40 gallons of water to fill a bathtub. A 10-minute shower consumes around 20 gallons. Older toilets need 3 gallons per flush. An irrigation system takes anywhere between 4 to 10 gallons per minute, depending on its design. Now scale these numbers up several times for a hotel or a farm, and you'll notice thousands upon thousands of gallons being consumed each year. The truth is, we can still complete these tasks using far less water through the implementation of more efficient water solutions. The Challenge Fund, a component of the Climate Resilience in Grenada's water sector, also known as the G-Cruise project, can help. Administered through the Grenada Development Bank, the Challenge Fund provides the tourism and agricultural sectors with refund grant financing to implement the adoption of water-efficient solutions in their hotels and on their farms. Hydroponics, rainwater harvesting, grey water recycling systems, and water-efficient bathroom solutions are only a few of the many possibilities. Protecting our water supply is our responsibility. Water is not an infinite resource. Every drop counts. For more information on the Challenge Fund, contact the Grenada Development Bank at 440-2382.
Farmers, here is an important message from the agricultural shop on the Carenage. You have a lot invested in your operation: land, livestock, and labor. Complete your checklist with a wide range of seeds stored at the required temperature, bio-friendly liquid and traditional fertilizers, animal healthcare products, animal feeds, fungicides and insecticides, and of course packaged soils and agricultural tools. Farmers, you work hard every day, so convert your investments into good, healthy foods and financial profits. Visit the agricultural shop at the Rennick Thompson building on the Carenage. There's just nowhere better.
What does it take to be an amazing woman? Lots of me time. Amazing women are classy, fancy, and a little sassy. It's the drink for me. Cheers! Sometimes you've got to show them who's boss. Alpha male? Nah, alpha females are more amazing. Cheers to securing the bag. We make time for ourselves, for work, friends, and we certainly make time for passion. We're simply amazing. Amazing cream liqueur for the amazing woman in you.
Welcome back, everyone. And as I said earlier, we're very excited. We also want to say a very special thanks to the Grenada Development Bank and the Agricultural Shop for making this Agri-Forum possible. We also welcome our viewers on the GBN's Facebook page and the GBN's YouTube channel, also our listeners on K105 FM. What we do now is to invite our panelists. We give them 1 minute, very quickly, very tight, just to say something about themselves so that you know who you're listening to, and of course you hear about their field of expertise. We're going to start with Dr. Tessa Barry. She will also act as my co-host this evening. She's also one of the presenters. So, Dr. Tessa Barry, tell us something quickly about yourself.
Pleasant good afternoon to you and to your distinguished panelists, and a pleasant good evening to the listening audience right here in Grenada and those from the diaspora. Well, my name is Tessa Barry. I am from the community of Butch Grove in St. Andrews, which is an agricultural community. I am a past student of the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, that's SAS, and my Butch Grove RC, which is St. Matthew's RC School, and I'm also a past student of the UWI, St. Augustine campus, and the University of Manchester. My area of expertise deals mainly with rural development, economics, rural development, and agricultural extension, majoring in agri-entrepreneurship, food security, and gender.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barry. Let's move now to Mr. Michael Neckles. Mr. Neckles, can you just, in quickly, 1 minute, tell us a little bit about you? Mr. Neckles, can you unmute your microphone? Yes. Yes, I think you're unmuted now, so you can talk to us. Yeah, so we come back to Mr. Neckles. Let's go to Ms. Afia Joseph. Ms. Joseph, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening to you, Godfrey, and the rest of the panelists. My name is Afia Joseph. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Marketing and National Importing Board, recently appointed into the role. My background is agro-processing and manufacturing, having been 11 years within the agro-processing and manufacturing sector. I know Dr. Barry highlighted her past. I do come from an agricultural background. My family hail from Florida, St. John, where I grew up basically seeing my grandparents build from cocoa, nutmeg, etc. So it's in my roots as well, and I'm very passionate about the agricultural sector. I'm very grateful to be here tonight to have this important discussion with the rest of the panelists on taking agriculture forward.
Thank you very much, Ms. Joseph. Mr. Donald Williams, welcome.
Yes, Godfrey, good night. Good night to the panelists and good night to the listening public. My name is Donald Williams. I'm the credit manager at the Grenada Development Bank. When I just joined the bank, I actually worked as an agriculture credit officer. I have some formal training in agriculture. And as my role as an agriculture credit officer, I would have had some direct contact with the farming community for quite a while. I'm from St. David's, so again, I grew up in an agriculture village, in the village of Pomrose, and I've always been part. My mother, that is what she did. She was a farm worker and agriculture and farmer herself, so we grew up in that. And I'm very happy to be here this afternoon and to be part of this panel, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. And let's now go to Senator Roderick St. Clair. Senator St. Clair, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Godfrey, and thank you for inviting me here as a farmers rep and fishers folks rep on this panel to discuss a very important subject. I want to say good night to my fellow panelists and, of course, to our listening public in the diaspora and, of course, my stakeholders on the outside. In terms of myself, I say I represent the farmers and fishers in the Senate of the Parliament of Grenada. I have several years of involvement within the agriculture marketing mechanism within Grenada. I've acquired various knowledge and experience through travels and interactions throughout the Caribbean and other parts of the world. So this opportunity to share and to help and assist is very significant. And so I thank you so much for having me here in this capacity tonight.
Thank you, Senator. Let's see if we can get Mr. Neckles back. Mr. Neckles, are you able to sort out your little technical issue there? Welcome. We're still not hearing you. I'm not sure what is happening there. Right. So just quickly, I know Mr. Neckles, he's presently a farmer. He is also an extension officer with the Ministry of Agriculture, and he's been involved in agriculture for over 37 years. So he definitely will be able to bring a farmer's perspective into this discussion this evening. Our panel this evening would take the form of a key question, which would take our panelists into the presentation for this evening. And we are going to get started. The first subject of discussion we're going to look at is the importance of agriculture in a Grenadian context. And this evening, doing the presentation on this particular subject is Dr. Tessa Barry. Dr. Barry, how can we expand the understanding of agriculture beyond just production? And we're talking here about as a source of livelihood, a source of employment, from farm to the table, and of course, economic development.
Okay, again, I extend a pleasant good evening, and it's important that we establish this framework going forward because we need to understand the role and the importance of agriculture. And now, as you quite rightly highlighted previously, this is a two-part series, and in that first part, we speak about the role of agriculture in terms of the opportunities along the value chain. So, in terms of its importance, we have to look at agriculture as an entire system, and we're talking from farm to table. So we're looking at what are the employment opportunities that exist along the entire value chain. So we're speaking from production right on to as we get to the table. So we're talking about some of the opportunities that exist along this value chain, and right from the field of productions, we have opportunities for employment in terms of experiences like soil analysis, farm equipment experts, we have farm equipment operators, we have laborers, and right here we have the seasonal laborers, for example, not just laborers as in Grenada, but we have seasonal laborers who get opportunities to travel outside of the country and work as laborers within the sector. And that's just some of the opportunities from the primary production aspect. Then we have our farmers, of course. So those who are involved in farming opportunities, horticulturalists, traders, vendors, etc. Now, agriculture is where we generate. It's an opportunity to generate livelihoods. I see it as a catalyst for rural development. And when we look at the catalyst for rural development, that is that driving force that builds rural communities. And from the employment sector, we get it also in terms of processing and manufacturing. So there's a statement that says that agriculture or agricultural development precedes industrialization. So if we have its importance expanded along the value chain, then we would see how it leads to the development of the industrial sector. We have other opportunities such as human nutrition and dietetics as an important aspect of this sector, that where we're talking about not just opportunities in terms of those who are involved in employment along those lines, but also our expertise in those areas, the way we eat, what we eat, etc. Communication. Now, we might wonder what are the career opportunities outside of primary production within the sector. We have career opportunities as it relates to research and development, as in the food and beverage sector, in the cosmetic sector. So when you look at the importance of agriculture as it relates to the source of livelihood and the opportunities it provides for employment, we see that it can be used as that income generator that allows for the injection of income into families, and therefore also leading to the extension and the development of rural communities. And that's just from one aspect. And then we also look at it from economic development perspective. As I alluded to earlier on, history has shown that an agricultural revolution always precedes an industrial revolution. So if we have examples, as in the case of the UK, in England, if you look at when they had the agricultural industrialization or the agricultural revolution, what came after was the revolution of industrialization. So if we have that agricultural revolution, then we would see the economic aspect of development. So for example, the non-agricultural sectors that depend upon agriculture for food and raw material, that's an opportunity in terms of economic development. A simple case in point, I remember there was one time we had that thriving business in St. Patrick's with the women who did seasoning, bottled seasoning. And when you look at agriculture as the provision for the raw material that would inject the sector of bottled seasoning, one of the complaints was that there weren't enough opportunities, or there weren't enough farmers producing the local products that would facilitate the further development of this, and so they weren't able to meet their demands. So in terms of economic development, you'd see that opportunity where agriculture would, the sector, the non-agricultural sector, would depend on agriculture. Then we have the earning of foreign exchange, and Godfrey, through the export of agricultural products. So not just export from raw material, but export from value addition. So we're moving beyond just the production of raw materials. For example, if you look at our sector, Grenada, we lead in terms of fresh fish export. We export about 27.4% of our total fish production. And that's a key aspect for us. So we see the importance of agriculture as a foreign exchange earner in terms of building as an opportunity for economic development. And we can go on, but those are just some of the issues to begin with that we can focus on. The opportunities it provides as a source of livelihood, and that source of livelihood from farm to table along the entire value chain, thereby providing that opportunity for the development of the rural economy, and by extension the development of urban economy, and then the injection it can provide for economic development.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barry. You mentioned a bit about the agricultural revolution, which can lead to an industrial revolution. And this is something I would like us to speak a little bit more about later on in the conversation. We are moving on, folks, and we are now going to invite Mr. Michael Neckles. He's the farmer in our midst, and he's been doing that for many, many years. And so we are going to invite Mr. Neckles to now speak on his experiences as a farmer, and of course some of the expectations. Mr. Neckles, are you with us? I am not seeing you. Have we lost Mr. Neckles? All right. We seem to have lost Mr. Neckles. So what we're going to do, I think earlier I missed one of our panelists, Mr. Daniel Lewis, and I do apologize, and I did not give him the opportunity to tell you about him. So let's just bring in Mr. Lewis now. Mr. Lewis, I do apologize, but of course, please tell us a little bit about yourself before we move on to the next presentation.
Well, I'm originally from Concord, St. George, the beautiful parish on the West Coast. I had training in agronomy, specializing later in an area that is very important, plant breeding. In terms of working career, all my working career had been spent primarily in agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, except the first 2 years where I was a teacher at the Grenada Boys Secondary School. I've had a beautiful that spanned over 33 years. And over the years, I've had worked closely with, a lot of stakeholders, including farmers, and I'm very passionate about them, work very, very hard on their behalf. And I've worked through my working year, we're able to establish good relationship with persons in many jurisdictions and international organizations, And even to this day, while I have retired last year, but continue to, work along in some way with the sector still. I'm passionate about agricultural development, and I would spare no effort in helping to support its development in any form.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Producer, have we got Mr. Neckles back? If not, we are going to move to Ms. Afia Joseph. She is the CEO of the Marketing and National Importing Board. And of course, we know that this organization is a key stakeholder as it relates to the agricultural industry. Ms. Joseph, we've heard quite a lot about the MNIB. And I also believe that there is a lot of information that we need to know about MNIB. Talk to us about the role of the MNIB, and is that role expected to extend, and how can we extend that role?
Good evening again. The role of the MNIB is quite expansive, I would say, but the overall umbrella role of the MNIB is to market and sell agricultural produce. That involves selling locally and finding international markets through export. I'm wondering if you can hear me. I'm just clarifying.
Yes, we're hearing you. You can go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Great. Beyond that, the Marketing Board has a more technical and to work with other organizations involved in the agricultural sector to take the sector forward. And in summary, that involves the following. Involving the purchasing and handling, storage, shipment of agricultural produce, working along with agricultural cooperatives and the fisheries cooperatives to find markets for those products, and also help resolve issues, whether it be shipping, logistics, and so forth, with those cooperatives. We have a mandate also to buy and sell all agricultural produce that is available to assist farmers with finding markets. It is the belief that the MNIB was set up so that farmers could really focus on the production on their farms and not have to worry about or go through the hassle of selling their produce or spending time off the farm to genesis of the MNIB. We also, part of that involves the ability to set up depots as well. We have several throughout the Tri-Island state where we continue to provide a home for the local produce and agro-processed products. We have over 500 farmers who can be guaranteed that the Marketing Board will take their produce and sell, and they can focus on their farms. And we also have probably, I would say, the widest variety of agro-processed products in our stores, and we continue to provide a home for these products. It means that the agro-processor can continue to focus on their production and knowing that the Marketing Board is selling their products to the customers, and not just selling the products, but also doing effective marketing for the products. In addition to that, the role of the MNIB extends further. We also have a responsibility to assist the sector with resolving issues of inputs for the farms or for the sector. So whether it be feed for livestock, seeds, fertilizers, insecticides, etc., there the MNIB has a responsibility to come through and assist the sector with whether it be more affordable input or sourcing, etc. The MNIB's role is not just that. We also, in 2019, we were mandated to develop the soursop industry through a cabinet conclusion. And we were highlighted as the organization that should be taking the soursop industry forward, both short-term and long-term. So the goal of this is to work with all the other organizations. We cannot do this in a vacuum. We must rely on the support of the agricultural sector and all other organizations to help build the soursop industry we have right now, which is doing very well. A key part, and I would say most important, because I hear a lot about the MNIB as I come into this role, and people continue to ask, what is the relevance of the MNIB? Is it valid? Is it necessary? And I would say, yes, it is necessary. The MNIB continue to be one of the main exporters of local produce. We continue to expand our export, meeting good performance within the last few months. We are, however, not without our challenges, but we continue to work through these challenges to find markets for farmers' produce and to export soursop in a big way as well. Without the MNIB in this picture, it will definitely leave a void for agro-processors, long-standing farmers who depend on the MNIB, and also a void as to who exactly, what national arm will be exporting Grenadian produce. So I would say, yes, the MNIB continue to be very important for the development of the agricultural sector. In addition to this, the MNIB as a national importer has another very important, I call it side function, which is to supply a basket of commodities to the island. But we wouldn't go into that right now because the element today is to discuss agriculture. What we have been strengthening, I would say, is re-looking in detail the delivery of our mandate. And as the CEO of the MNIB, I remain very focused on every activity that we do has to be in line with the delivery of our mandate. We have started some work in that regard over the last 6 months. One of the challenges I would say we have with the conversation of export is that we have a lot of produce here in Grenada, it would seem, but when we go out into an international market, we can't provide a 20-foot container. We do not have organized production on the island. We do not have the quantities. And sometimes as a country, we are out of touch with what the international market wants and what they want at a certain price. We have sought to start to work on that. And as I say, we cannot do this in isolation. We require the entire support of the agricultural sector. But from our organization, we have recently launched farm contracts because it is my strong belief that without organized production, particularly for export, we are not going anywhere. And so we have over 100 farmers who are very excited to have signed up for farm contracts. What it presents for the farmers is that guarantee that over the next 12 months, they can produce and they know that there will be a market for their produce. MNIB has to take their products and at a price that was pre-agreed and satisfactory for the farmers. And we all know that that is a major requirement, something that the farmers want improvement on. So we have launched that, and we continue to encourage persons who have not signed up for our farm contract program to consider and even join us in this effort towards organized production. One of the things we are also seeing is that farmers are asking for that as well, that they can get guidance and we can provide additional support through the farm contract program for organized production. We are planning to have produced 6.6 million pounds of fresh produce with the different varieties. That is a 2.2 million pounds of fresh produce more than last year. As we can see with the interruption of the global supply chain and the interruption to food supply, Grenada also has an opportunity to get into markets that possibly previously we did not have access to. And we also have an opportunity to ensure that we can feed ourselves. I believe that it is a moral obligation for a country to be able to feed itself. In addition to that, while I wrap up, because I imagine my time is coming to a close, one of our areas that we've started work on is to work with to strengthen our relationship, I would say, with the cooperatives, whether it be the fisheries or the poultry sector that is going through quite a challenge at this time. They are basically struggling to stay alive. We are looking to see how our technical support and other support that the MNIB can provide to these cooperatives to ensure that we continue to thrive and survive.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. We're going to come back because I want to engage you a little more on this. Some very interesting point, but we have to break now for our obligation. So we'll take that break and we will be right back. So, Agriculture Forward.
Get high making money moves with the NLA's new Aces High Scratch game with 4 chances to win. Beat the dealer's card to win the prize shown. Reveal an A symbol. And just like that, you are automatically a winner. Scratch away to win the top prize of $10,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play.
Good evening, viewers and listeners. Welcome to the National Lotteries Authority's Daily Pick 3 Evening Draw. For today, Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I am Anisha Charles. With me this evening is Ms. Joseph Clark from PKF Accountants and Business Advisors, whose purpose is to ensure that this draw is conducted in an accountable manner, and the game balls with industry standards and in a way stamped with. Let's have your tickets ready. It's Daily Pick 3. It pays to play. Good luck. First up for this evening is check your tickets in the meantime. First number is 1, second number is also 1, third and final number is 8. Let's recap those numbers. Thumbs on the screen. First number is 1, the second 1, third and final is 8. So that's 1, 1, and 8. Congratulations all winners. Stay tuned, get your daily cash flow drop next. We'll see you soon.
Tick, tock, toe. I win.
Feel like a big kid again when you play NLA's new scratch game, Tic-Tac-Toe. It's instant cash on the go. Reveal 3 X's or 3 O's in the same row, column, or diagonally, and win the prizes shown, or as much as $5,000. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play. Tic-Tac-Toe, please.
Give me a Tic-Tac-Toe, please.
Tic-Tac-Toe, please.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Daily Cash for Evening Draw. For today, Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I am Anisha Charles. With me again is Ms. Joseph Clark from PKF Accountants and Business Advisors, whose purpose is to ensure that this show is conducted in an accountable manner, and the game balls with industry standards and in a way stamped with. This time, your tickets at hand. It's Daily Cash for more plays, bigger prizes. That's one of this evening's winning numbers will be. Good luck. First up this evening is check your tickets in the meantime. First number is 1, second number is 9, third number up. Third number is 5, fourth and final number is 2. Let's recap those numbers. Thumbs on the screen. First number is 1, the second 9, third 5, fourth and final is 2. So that's 1, 9, 5, and 2. Congratulations all winners. Stay tuned, get to play with you up next. We'll see you soon.
Win more with the NLA's Daily Cash 4. Every day with more plays and bigger prizes to be won. It's a 4-digit game with all the bet types you already know and much, much more. From 0000 to 9999. Choose your 4 numbers and place your bet from 11 different bet types. Choose from inline, 4 different mixes, first 3, last 3, and 4 different backup options too. Best of all, it starts at just $1, except for backups, which starts at $2. Win as much as $5,000 with a $1 inline bet and as much as $6,200 in a $2 backup bet. Imagine $50,000 for a winning $10 inline bet. There's definitely more to win with the Daily Cash 4. More plays, bigger prizes. Twice per day, Mondays to Saturdays. Must be 18 and over to participate. NLA, making your dreams come true while supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Play With Evening Draw for today, Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I am Anisha Charles. With me again is Ms. Joseph Clark from PKF Accountants and Business Advisors, whose purpose is to ensure that this draw is conducted in an accountable manner and the game balls with industry standards and in no way tampered with. Let's play With, follow your dreams when you're away. Good luck. This evening's winning Play With number is check your tickets. This evening's winning Play With number is 13. Let's recap the number 1313. 13 represents the dream symbol Blackbird. Congratulations, all the winners of this evening's Play With draw. Tune in later on for the Lotto draw. This evening we're playing for a jackpot of $116,000. We'll see you then.
I'm a winner, you are winner, we are winners, winners.
It's the big one. Grenada. Imagine winning $25,000 and up to 6 times by scratching just one little ticket. Get your triple cash scratch tickets for a chance to live your best life. Win easy with Scratch. For just $3, match any of your numbers to any of the winning numbers and win the prize shown for that number. Reveal a money back symbol and win the prize instantly. Triple cash scratch in stores now. Must be 18 or older to play.
Cause I'm a winner. From the moment that I get up, I'm feeling right.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. It's Taking Agriculture Forward, our forum this evening, and we're looking at some of the critical areas as it relates to the agricultural sector. So far, we've heard presentations from Dr. Tessa Barry and Ms. Joseph from the MNIB. One of the other stakeholders that plays a very significant role in this whole thing is financial institutions. And this evening we have with us Mr. Donald Williams from the Grenada Development Bank. And, only recently I learned that when the bank was first opened, it was known as the Agricultural Bank. And that was very, very instructive to me. So we're going to invite Mr. Donald Williams to do his presentation. And Mr. Williams, my key question to you this evening: what is the role of the Grenada Development Bank and other financial institutions as it relates, one, to current financial opportunities for agriculture and also projects and programs that are available for people in the sector?
Very much, I'm Godfrey, and good night once again to the panelists and to the public. Now, Godfrey, you started by saying that you learned that the Grenada Development Bank, what's the genesis from the agriculture sector, in that it started as the Agriculture Development Bank. And that is very correct. And the main reason for that at the time, and that was in 1965, I think, so we actually 56 years, this year we celebrated 50 years of existence. And we started as the Agricultural Development Bank. And at the time, the authorities they thought that the existing financial market didn't adequately cater for the funding needs of the agriculture sector, and therefore they came up with the Agriculture Development Bank. Shortly after that, it was decided that the agriculture sector is not the only sector that is struggling with that financial gap, and therefore they broadened it to include all the productive sectors, and hence the change of the name, and we are now referred to or known as the Grenada Development Bank. What is instructive to note, Godfrey, is that even after the change and the scope was broadened, bank continued to focus heavily on the agriculture sector. Up until the middle to late 1990s, we maintained a credit department dedicated solely to agriculture. So within the bank, even though we looked at general financing, we had an agriculture credit department. And I think earlier on when I introduced myself, I said I commenced my employment with the bank as an agriculture credit officer. And the main reason for that is that we understood that the sector needed some special attention. And what would have happened at the time is that the bank took on board persons who had some training in the area of agriculture to actually work within that department. So not just persons who understood credit, but persons who had a fair understanding of the agriculture sector itself. And why am I giving that background? I think that is instructive and that is going to set in context the current position of the bank. Now, so what we had was a number of persons employed within that department who, for the most part, would remain out in the field and go into the office to do final reports, etc. And so we spend a lot of time out in the field with the farmers, getting an understanding as to what is happening, what the problems they face, etc. We also collaborated with quite a number of other stakeholders, such as the ministry and other stakeholders involved in the industry. At the time, again, well, even now our focus is financing, but at the time we did what we called supervised financing to the agriculture sector, right? So that we didn't just provide financing and then you go on and utilize it on your own, but we were there with you, following up, providing support to ensure that whatever we fund is adequately implemented and you reap the benefits of it. At the time, what we call the traditional agriculture was very strong. That would have been things like cocoa, nutmeg, bananas, sugar cane. And we found a niche then within those that traditional sector where we were providing, not revolving because it was actually new loans every year, but we were providing ongoing funding to farmers during the year. And they were only required to pay at the time of the bonuses, because at that time the bonuses were very reliable. So farmers were readily able to make use of that financing where you would get monies to help with land clearing, upkeep of the farm inputs, etc. And you would do an assignment of the bonus. It also addressed an issue that we still face today, and that is the issue of farmers being able to provide collateral for the funding. Because as a financial institution, when you provide funding, you look to mitigate your risk. And one way of mitigating that risk is through ensuring that the loan is properly collateralized. That would have mitigated or given us a way around that, in that because the bonus at the time was very reliable, we linked on the through the banana, we took a lien on sales. With the canes, we took a lien on sales through the, at the time, what we call the Grenada Sugar Factory. We had the Cane Farmers Association, etc. And because that was pretty reliable, we would have forgone the request for other collateral. The thing is, though, we all know that eventually that traditional subsector crashed, if you want to use that term. And from year to year, you don't know exactly what is going to happen, whether there are going to be bonuses, what level of bonuses, etc. Well, the sugar cane and the banana went on completely, and we had to relook that. Not only that, what happened is that with that downturn came a significant increase in our delinquent loans. So the sector became plagued with non-performing loans, and that affected the overall performance of the bank. In fact, it got so bad that our NPLs, which is the non-performing loans, which is one of the main measures of the quality of your loan portfolio,
Mr. Williams,
skyrocketed to the extent.
Mr. Williams, I just want to butt in a bit. We seem to be having a little problem with your audio. There is some background noise. Is there something close by that is, because we're hearing you but very muffled, so what you're saying is not very clear. I don't know if there is probably a fan in the background or something that is creating the noise.
Is this better?
Oh, fantastic. Yes, fantastic. Okay. Right, lovely. Let's go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what I was saying, it impacted the bank negatively, and it affected a number of other things, including our ability to actually get funding to continue. So we had to rethink and restructure. And that is when we got rid of the agriculture credit department. But we still continued with a heavy on agriculture. Now, what we've found though, and I think most of the other financial institutions locally may say the same thing. Contrary to what people think, there is not a heavy demand locally for agriculture funding or funding for the agriculture sector. Yes, you have a number of small loan requests, etc. But in terms of funding for direct agriculture activities, there isn't that significant demand. In fact, over the last 2 to 3 years, I don't think in any 1 year we would have done as much as $1 million in agriculture. And we have been doing, on an average for a small institution, we've been doing 15 to 20 million per year. We have had our portfolio grow from 20-something million in the last 10 years to currently 85 million. And our agriculture sector currently is only about, I think it's 3% of that. So, and it's not a case where we have had a lot of declines, or let's say persons requesting funding and we're turning them down. So the demand is not that high. We've sought to try to understand what's the reason for that. And while we cannot say for certain because we don't have the empirical data, what we tend to think is that because of the current the characteristics of our local agriculture sector, persons don't borrow heavily to fund the sector. If you look at what is happening in the industry, a large part of the industry is a subsistence operations. Then another very significant part is what you may consider to be a little more than just subsistence, but it can still be considered just a livelihood, where persons do agriculture, they fund their family, they fund their students, their education, etc. They live a comfortable life, but it is not of a commercial venture operation. And therefore, with that, persons would take small loans every now and again, but they don't go into any big lending for agriculture. Of course, we have a few commercial type entities that would request funding. So we have had to look at that change in dynamics and decide how we are going to fund the sector. So what we've done is this. We have a general MSME funding package. That is because our focus is on small and medium enterprises. And we have a general package and we fund agriculture through that. So as of now, we don't have a specific loan product for agriculture, but that MSME funding package includes the productive sector, agriculture being an integral part of it. We've also sought to re-engage the sector by, for example, we've engaged the different stakeholders to see what other role we can play other than just funding, because we think that if we can contribute to strengthening and improving the sector, is also going to lead to an increase in demand for funding, which would then help us to better perform our role as a development bank. So we've engaged in some training. We've also done other support. I know we've had some discussion with the immediately past senator with the responsible for agriculture in the Senate. I think we've also engaged Senator St. Clair, and we're looking at how we can continue to provide that. Having said that, we continue to provide funding because that is our main role. And even though we don't have some direct agriculture product, we have a number of products that we're directly involving, as well as other programs that we work along with other stakeholders in terms of funding the sector. For example, you would have heard pretty recently the government would have announced the COVID-19 relief package. And we currently have a loan program that is $9 million in terms of the funding. So we have $9 million, and it is opened to all sectors, agriculture involved. And what we've, that loan has a very, if you are a very low interest rate. It's 1%. I don't think you're getting 1% loans on the market that easy. So you have a 1% loan available to farmers, fisher folks, etc. Right, and that monies can be used for almost anything within the sector. And even then, now that we've rolled out the package, we've had a lot of inquiries from the other sectors, but nothing significant from the agriculture sector. I can't say that I could put my hand onto why that is so, but we have been promoting that. And so far, we have not had much interest from the agriculture sector, but they're definitely one of our target sectors as we try to push that program. Now, we also have within the Development Bank, the Government Small Enterprise Development Fund. And that fund is a small fund which basically concentrates on micro enterprises. Yeah. And we give a loan, a maximum loan of $40,000. And even with that fund, we also concentrate on agriculture. I think currently the current loan balance in the fund is about 5.7 million. Agriculture is only about 13% of that. Fisheries is another 27%. Together, the agriculture and fishing sector constitutes 40% of the current loan balance in that small enterprise development fund. So we have seen a significant uptake in that fund from the agriculture and the fishing sector. We also involved, we also provide support for the Grenada Youth Enterprise Initiative Program, which is a youth program of the Ministry of Youth. I think they have recently rebranded into the Youth Bees Program. And we provide support there. And again, we have, I think about 10% of that fund is for young, well, not set aside for young persons, but in terms of the loan balances, currently is agriculture, young persons involved in agriculture. In addition to that, the bank is also directly involved in the Eco-Micro project. And that is a project aimed at building climate resilience of the micro, small, and medium enterprises through green financing. And the whole idea is to, I think, as it relates to agriculture, the emphasis is on rainwater harvesting, water storage facilities, retrofitting of farm buildings, land conservation, etc. And that loan has a loan period. I think the interest rate is between 5 to 6%, and it has a term of up to 15 years. We also are directly involved in the Grenada Climate Resilience Water Sector, which is what we call the G-Cruise project. And within that project, there is a challenge fund for agriculture. And again, we provide support there. And we're also involved in a number of other things, such as the Agricom project. We are providing support there in the Agricom project. And I'm not going through the details of those projects. Anybody wanting more information, they can get through us, the Ministry of Agriculture, etc. But what is happening, Godfrey, is that the bank over the years has grown significantly. Our agriculture sector, though, has not grown as at the pace of the other sectors. In addition to the growth, what we have is a significant improvement in our portfolio quality. We have moved from a situation where our non-performing loans was as high as 40%. It's currently under 2%, I think just about 2%. And I mean, that is excellent because the standard, I think, is about 5%. There is no other development bank in the sub-region with a non-performing portfolio ratio as this. The agriculture sector, though, has a higher delinquency rate. The current delinquency rate, I think, is about 8%. But even that is not as bad for a high-risk sector. The agriculture sector is pretty high risk, and because of the high risk, it provides a challenge for persons funding the sector. What you find is that the real challenge comes from the fact that there's no real means of mitigating the risk. For example, crop insurance or other adequate insurance to farmers when they impacted by things like natural disasters. You have pest and disease outbreak, and a number of other things. And the sector is very high risk, and no real mitigation measures, and as a result, it makes it difficult. So the demand for or the request for collateral to ensure that the loans are properly collateralized is the only way we can adequately mitigate that. What we've been doing recently, though, is promoting the ECPCGC, which is the Eastern Caribbean Partial Guarantee Scheme. And that is a means of dealing with the collateral issues so that persons who have projects within the sector and other sectors funding, they meet the criteria. We think they're viable projects, but the only issue is collateral. We can then refer them through that scheme and have a guarantee done so that they could get the necessary funding. So all in all, the bank continues to provide a serious support to the sector. I've had a quick look at what the other commercial banks are doing, and while I wasn't able to get the direct numbers, I could tell you the funding for agriculture also there hasn't been a big demand. A lot of the funding, though, is in the areas of things like agriculture vehicles. You have a lot of funding going in that direction. So yes, we continue to provide support, but contrary to the thinking, there isn't a big demand for funding in agriculture. Sometimes you hear people talk and you think there is a big unsatisfied demand for funding in agriculture. That is not our experience, Godfrey.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Williams, for that. We have a commercial break coming up. We are going to take that break. And when we come back, we will listen to Mr. Lewis, and then we would go on to the senator. Hopefully by then we can have Mr. Neckles' audio sorted out, and so he can do his presentation. So we take a short break. We will be back with you on Taking Agriculture Forward. Stay with us.
By now, you should know that the early bird catches the worm. So, what are you waiting for? Put wings to your feet and head to your nearest scratch seller. For every Quick 7's scratch ticket you buy at $2, the NLA gives you 7 chances at winning as much as $7,000. Scratch the entire play area for your 7 chances at revealing as much 7s and win the corresponding prizes. Win easy with Scratch. Must be 18 or older to play.
A pleasant evening to everyone. Welcome to the National Lotteries Authority's Lotto Draw number 3247 for today, Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I am Anisha Charles. With me this evening is Ms. Joseph Clark from PKF Accountants and Business Advisors, who spokes essential that this show is conducted in an accountable manner, and the game balls with industry standards and in the way tampered with. This time, share tickets at hand because we're about to play for a jackpot of $116,000. But first, your free ticket letter. Good luck. Your free ticket letter for this evening is L, as in Lotto. Let's proceed for 5 winning numbers. Good luck. Numbers, check your tickets. First number up is 34, the second 5, third 15, fourth 1, fifth and final is 25. So that's 34, 34, 055, 15, 011, and 25, 25. Your free ticket letter for this evening is L, as in Lotto. Congratulations to all the winners of this evening's Lotto draw. Lotto, play and win a lot. When you play all the games of the National Lotteries Authority, supports sports, culture, and nation building. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.
I'm a winner. You are winner. We are winners. Winners.
It's the big one. Grenada. Imagine. Imagine winning $25,000 and up to 6 times by scratching just one little ticket. Get your triple cash scratch tickets for a chance to live your best life. Win easy with Scratch. For just $3, match any of your numbers to any of the winning numbers and win the prize shown for that number. Reveal a money bag symbol and win the prize instantly. Triple cash scratch in stores now. Must be 18 or older to play.
'Cause I'm a winner. From the moment that I get up, I'm feeling right.
This is what 1 gallon of water looks like. Now, consider these facts. It takes about 40 gallons of water to fill a bathtub. A 10-minute shower consumes around 20 gallons. Older toilets need 3 gallons per flush. An irrigation system takes anywhere between 4 to 10 gallons per minute, depending on its design. Now scale these numbers up several times for a hotel or a farm, and you'll notice thousands upon thousands of gallons being consumed each year. The truth is, we can still complete these tasks using far less water through the implementation of more efficient water solutions. The Challenge Fund, a component of the Climate Resilience in Grenada's water sector, also known as the G-Cruise project, can help. Administered through the Grenada Development Bank, the Challenge Fund provides the tourism and agricultural sectors with refund grant financing to implement the adoption of water-efficient solutions in their hotels and on their farms. Hydroponics, rainwater harvesting, grey water recycling systems, and water-efficient bathroom solutions are only a few of the many possibilities. Protecting our water supply is our responsibility. Water is not an infinite resource. Every drop counts. For more information on the Challenge Fund, contact the Grenada Development Bank at 440-2382.
Farmers, here is an important message from the agricultural shop on the Carenage. You have a lot invested in your operation, land, livestock, and labor. Complete your checklist with a wide range of seeds stored at the required temperature, bio-friendly liquid and traditional fertilizers, animal healthcare products, animal feeds, fungicides and insecticides, and of course, packaged soils and agricultural tools. Farmers, you work hard every day, so convert your investments into good, healthy foods and financial profits. Visit the agricultural shop at the Rennick Thompson building on the Carenage. There's just nowhere better.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. This is Taking Agriculture Forward, and we're talking to the experts this evening. We've had presentations from Dr. Barry, we've had presentations from Ms. Joseph, Mr. Williams, and of course we're getting ready now to hear from Mr. Daniel Lewis. He's an agronomist, and of course he will be speaking on some of the challenges facing the sector. Mr. Lewis, what are some of the major challenges facing the sector, and what levers are necessary to address them? And we're talking, we know that there are lots of challenges, from climate change to predial larceny. I did promise myself I wasn't going to say it, but I saw Dr. Barry looking at me, so I had to stick to predial larceny. And the list of challenges, it continues. So, Mr. Lewis, talk to us about some of these challenges and some of the levers that are necessary to address them.
Much, Mr. Augustine, and it is indeed my pleasure to be here and to contribute to this forum. I must indeed say, in regard to challenges afflicting the agricultural sector, there are no shortage of challenges. There are many, many, many. But, I'll just, given the limited time, I'll just touch on a few and just forward some perspective as to how these could be dealt with and mitigated against. Let me take climate change and environmental sustainability. agriculture by the very nature is affected by climate change in a very profound way. As you know, agriculture is practiced in the open environment. So the whole issue of hurricanes, storms, inundation, drought, all these things which are associated with climate change affects agriculture in a significant way. Rising temperature, you know, one of the effects of climate change is rising temperature because of the ozone layer that is being depleted from time and time again. And again, as you know, plants are bred to proliferate or to produce within a certain temperature range, and when it go beyond that, plants find it difficult, you know, to produce effectively to fruits. For example, if you have all your tropical fruits and so forth, and you can't, and you really, and they are subjected to higher than normal temperature, you find that they wouldn't produce effectively, and then low productivity would be the consequence, right? So from that perspective, I know the ministry had been working with farmers in terms of seeing how you can mitigate against the effect of climate change. One of the things that is advanced is to have farmers adopt climate smart agriculture approaches. So, for example, you would get higher than normal rainfall in certain instances, so therefore you have to have good drainage, higher wind velocity. So farmers, depending on where they function, you could, you know, build wind breaks, barriers that could break the velocity of the wind, because some crops like the Musa species, banana, plantain, blogger, they tend to, you know, topple quite easily with high wind velocity. So, and I mean, that is a practice that farmers long ago used to do, have wind breaks so you could plant commercial trees like fruit trees so you could get something from those trees. So climate change is real. One of the things we've seen about climate change too, one of the consequences is the incidence higher than normal incidence of invasive alien species. I mean, pests and diseases. People could tell you the amount of things we have been seeing in recent times, scales, all kind of insects. And insects is a no-no for agriculture because it reduces your productivity because you get so much damage from this alien, the pests and diseases. And in addition to that, it takes a lot of money because you have to control them. So climate change is real and it is highly, highly impactful. One of the things, the agriculture sector is continuing to evolve, and one of the things we have been seeing over the years is the fact that, especially for, you know, the farmers who export and so forth, the export market is becoming more and more difficult because there is a lot of stringent regulations which are put in place, especially by the importing countries. And they talk about food safety. Food safety is one of the It's a big one. I mean, a couple of years ago, the United States passed a bill called the Modern Food Safety Act, which essentially places enormous challenges on exporting countries like Grenada to meet the standards for exporting to the United States. You know, Grenada has always had a very thriving, especially tropical fruits and so forth to the state. And so they put in place an inspectorate system. Because you see, what had happened over the years, the United States had been afflicted by, you know, foodborne diseases, poisoning that caused death and so forth. So in order to counteract that, and in fact, by and large, a lot of the challenges in respect to foodborne diseases has been related to the producers themselves, not from exporting countries, but to counteract, they put this modern food safety bill. So what essentially happens is that you as an exporter, for example, if there's a gentleman in Paradise or anywhere else in Grenada exporting sauerkraut or anything else to the States, they have to ensure that they have to put good facilities in place with all the modern retrofitting and so forth, which is quite expensive. And in addition to that, you have to have traceability systems in place so that when you export something and there is problem in the market, it traces back to source. So it is one of those things, and we're seeing one of the challenges, quite apart from food safety, is the whole issue of non-tariff barriers. A lot of countries, what they normally do, you know, in order to curtail and importation and so forth, they put all kind of barriers in place, and it makes it so difficult. I remember I was associated to a program once in the 80s where we were exporting fresh cut flowers to the United States, and I remember on a few occasions after an export I would have expended substantial resources, cartoons, buying from flowers, export charges, air freight, and everything else. They might find one little dead millibug and the flower, and they reject the complete shipment. And not only that, not that you lose so much money in the whole process, but again, it costs to incinerate, to get rid of it. So it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. But food safety, quite apart from the perspective of to export, we in Grenada, as producers, we have to ensure that what we sell to our local consumers must meet the same standard. Because food safety don't only affect consumers in the importing country, but our. And in that regard, I think increasingly we have to put system in place. That's precisely why a few years ago, I think the government passed a food safety bill. And in addition to that, under the 10th EDF, the use of the European Union Development Fund, sort of harmonized food safety bill was put in place, and also an animal health and plant health bill was also, put forward as an output from that 10th EDF. And so food safety is becoming very important because it could affect people's health and so forth. Another challenge we have is with respect to land and labor. Despite the fact that we're seeing around us a lot of idle land, substantial amount of idle lands, remember, there's a lot of absentee landowners and other persons who reach that age, and some, they just find these lands. And the great irony is the fact that you have a lot of landless farmers and young persons who want to get involved in agriculture in a meaningful way, and they do not have access. And there lies the problem. But one of a novel project which has been implemented at this stage, also not only Grenada, but also in St. Vincent, is a project, a land bank project. Maybe a lot of people would have heard about it. Just as you deposit money in a bank, just so, the land bank is intended for the same purpose. Somebody who have land, they don't want to use it, at 20, 25 acres, 10-5, you could deposit in the land bank. The land bank project at this stage is in its pilot phase, so they're essentially using, lands from government. And there is two sites, Diamond and Grand Bacolet. So once you pass that phase, it is very hopeful that the project could be upscaled to facilitate persons, private landowners who may want to wish to deposit them. But the land bank has a lot of advantages in that you make lands more accessible to young persons and landless farmers. You could increase production and contribute more towards food and nutrition security. One of the objectives of the land bank also is to improve land administration, because the land administration, as it is now, is not the best, and you want to training and everything else, you could, have better land administration and so forth, and increase agriculture output, improve livelihood of the persons who would be involved. Another thing is about, quite apart from land access, affordability, what we're seeing increasingly is that the lands are becoming very, very expensive. And even where good government expend resources to put roads and other infrastructure, all of a sudden, sometimes people want to, sell lands at enormous prices just to speculate and to have those lands go into housing. And therein lies a difficult problem. How it is, if we had a land use policy, maybe that problem would not have been as difficult as it is. So the whole question of land access, of affordability, is issues that are problematic and, continue to afflict the sector. We're talking about technological advancement. Agriculture is science. And if you look what has been transpiring in many countries, adoption of, whether it's biotechnology, or use drone, or all these things, greenhouses. I was looking at some statistics. They say recently, only with vegetables alone, the use of greenhouses had an output of over $350 billion in recent times. Because if you look at Grenada's context, during the rainy season, it is so challenging to produce high quality. You could know, just go in the supermarkets or any market now, you may not see good quality tomatoes, because clearly heavy rain affect the quality of vegetables produced. And you have a lot of the proliferation of a lot of pests and diseases and so forth. So it has always been advanced. If you use shade houses, so that you would minimize all these direct contact with all this water on the plant environment and so forth, you could get, you could produce much more. And the problem is that you don't have the quality, you don't have the amount, and especially contributing food and nutrition security, people need to continue eating healthy and so forth. So how do we get the problem? Adopt more technology. In addition to that, we see over the years there had been somewhat an improvement, a significant improvement in the use of irrigation, for example. We have had several initiatives, including support by the European Union under the SFA 99 and 2000, where a substantial amount of Grenadians benefited from irrigation systems. And today, they continue to have it, because once you have irrigation, that means you sort of have that independence of natural rainfall, so you could produce whenever you want, not only depending on the rainfall. But there are some other areas. One of the other interface only this week with representative from the Ministry of Youth Affairs, and one of the things they were saying, and I quite rightly agree with them, is the fact that we need to see, we're talking about technology to attract more young persons in the sector. We need to have little models, where young persons could see, yes, we use this, we have a hydroponic, and this is how it functions, and this is the potential, and yes, they could gravitate towards, that kind of thing. So we have to see much more uptake of technology. Even as we speak, drones are used quite widely in the agricultural sector, where they could use drones and you could get back the necessary information as to what transpiring in a specific part of a field, whether it's they need to fertilize and when and so forth. People could stay in a room and just with the computer and so forth, just irrigate the farm. So agriculture is science, and therefore there has been a lot of scientific development. But our uptake in science has not been, our technology that is, has not been too dramatic. And it's one of the things maybe we have to, improve on, And again, it begs the question, how it is the access to financing has not been the best in the agricultural sector. I mean, as I always tell people, agriculture is like any other industry. What you put in, that is what you'll get up. If you don't decide to invest heavily, maybe the output would not be as significant. The other issue is research and development. A lot of the problems that afflict the sector could be solved in a way by doing appropriate research. Research tends to be sometimes on the little expensive side and sometimes the resources and so forth. But we have a regional body called CARDI, Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute, the headquarters in Trinidad. And they had been mandated by CARICOM to do all research in agriculture for the CARICOM members. And again, what happened? They are challenged by resources because some of the members say don't pay as much as they possibly could, So they always have a deficit and so forth. And research takes money and time and everything else. So research and development has to be top on the agenda in Grenada, because a lot of the problem we're seeing, whether it's pest and disease, nutritional problems and so forth, it could be solved by doing the appropriate research. Major challenge. I mean, and as some people do not like to say, they find it's too a nice term for an evil deed. So they say thief in agricultural produce. And that is very, very widespread. Farmers could tell you, and that's a major disincentive for farmers, Imagine that, the labor, after you would have invested significantly, people just go in and harvest and harvest. It's terrible. It's one of the things I know the ministry had been working in tandem with the Royal Grenada Police Force and established Farm Watch involving farmers themselves. But it's a problem that continue to impact negatively on farmers. But what I always indicate to farmers is that when you look at your farm is exposed to, everybody could just walk in. It's like a massive door. Everybody could just walk in. So farmers have to be sensible in a way. If it is that of a farm, and I'm almost at the point of harvesting, could you not, just as a supermarket or any other business, employ security? Just for that period of time, you could, farmers have to come up with innovative ways to curb, prior larceny. Because they turn your back, the thief will just come in. Or it is, neighbors could look out for each other, and so there's a lot of strategies that could be employed. Another major issue that confronting the sector, and I've seen it with my eyes, is the wide incidence of pests and diseases. I always tell people, and I first joined the ministry some years ago, Grenada was only one of 2 islands in the Caribbean that could have easily exported any fruits, tropical fruits, to the United States. How that has changed. Over the years, we had fruit fly. We had mango seed weevil. We have disease in coconut. We had black sticker toka in bananas, and the list go on and on and on. Of course, people say now you have so much travel and people bringing in things they shouldn't bring in, and the problem goes on. And I could say as a fact that when muco disease first affected banana, first cited in Grenada in 1970, that has been one of the single most important factors that contributed to the demise of the banana industry in Grenada. Even today, farmers are afflicted by muco disease. So when you put all this together, some of the challenges of the agricultural sector are very unique to the industry. Unique. Pest and diseases affect tourism in a way, not directly in a way. When you look at climate change, yes, climate change, because if there is a big event, it affects, but you're talking about the little pocket here of climate change. When there is inundation, there is drought, other industries are not badly affected. Maybe now and so for the water sector and so forth, but not in the way it affects agriculture. So agriculture is challenged with numerous challenges. And the way we have to address it is to work assiduously with all the stakeholders and to see how, because there's a solution to every problem. But the extent to which we succeed in bringing the solution is that everybody has to go with the leadership of the ministry and industry stakeholders, and think we have to work to address them. I mean, I haven't the other opportunity to highlight some other challenges, but at this point, given the challenging time, I'll stop here.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. We want to move on quickly because we want to get to the point of our conversation. Let's see if we can get Mr. Neckles in now to make his short presentation. Mr. Neckles, are you with us now? And I trust that we have our little issues sorted out. You've been a farmer for many years. Tell us a little bit about your experiences, and as a farmer, what are your expectations?
I don't know where to start, because my experience is between working as an extension officer and being a farmer. I was born and grew up in agriculture, and I could tell you that in spite of the technology that is available, agriculture is very fundamental to us. And I know for a fact that you could make a very living from agriculture. You could earn a better living sometimes if you don't right from people who work in the banks and so forth. However, there is a lot of challenges that the Lord set the people with. And not a lot of this thing I call agriculture for it to really stay it. First of all, I would like to see that we want no recognition. Farmers don't need recognition. If you want, because every time something happens in the farming sector, we get worse. You see people come and do something and they forget it. Most of the things that Mr. Lewis mentioned about, we had them already. That share seems to solve the problem with racism. We have a lot of experienced people in the country who's trained in the areas of pest management. We have any factors that could put together to make agriculture work. But something tells me that agriculture is not on our front as a nation, and it's not just the politician. That people go to Carriacou have over 5-6 sheep and goats. But that is just something on the side. I went to Carriacou a few days with hundreds of sheep, and they could produce natural manure to sell for Grenada and for farmers and be better for themselves. There are people who use farming just as a side thing. The few of us who understand and have the courage to stay in farming, and those of us who are very creative and able to make everything work. For example, we have to use things like bad roads. A lot of farmers very hard to access. People still use these to carry stuff on their head. Even if they have road close to the land, they still have to carry stuff on their head. Well, people mentioned probably loss in high cost of inputs every single day. the cost of inputs are going up. You buy a pack of seed today for $20, I bet you when you get shipment code, paying $100. And so it is in agriculture. The gas price, they also do farming by trying to modernize our farm. The changes in gas prices affect us badly. And we feel that the way treat fishermen given them limits, there's a need for you to look at farming in the same way, because last year, the risk of life when you go to the sea, I ain't relating that. But one of the highest risk business you can get involved in is in you have a crop and you come to one now same crop in the field. And you go to sleep and when you come, you have to harvest. The crop gone. Because I already done poor last night and I don't just get washed away and those kind of things. You have no control over that. So some of the problems we have is innovation. Now we have modern technology, but when you come on innovation, we cannot be supply, we cannot be when innovation damage, we can get the parts to put in, we have to send all over the place. There's a lot of problems. We have the unity among farmers. Farmers are not united. Farmers have highly political attitudes. That some farmers don't know what organization. The farmers are they get broken up because of people getting too personal in terms of the political views and so forth. And the farmers organization they progress. And I say that to say that all the things that I mentioned, I menu, the need for soft credit for people who have access to land that never has collateral. I don't know how few people, I had the person from the bank who said that it is on a low, but there was a time that it was on a high. And nobody could tell what created the problem because farmers are very skeptical about putting in the bank, especially when you speak about things. So we need a lot of institutional support because we are the customers, we are the ones who support now to keep the nation going, to food and so forth, to fight this struggle in this time. Yes, I know the government is making some effort. But there's a lot left that need to be done to make young people get involved in agriculture. Because, I can tell young people, yes, there's going to be in agriculture. But when I tell a man how much you're making a crop of tomato, for instance, and a man figures on the field, but you're planting tomato and catch up yourself, thief come and thief 3/4 of it. Or you may be affected by pests, or the market say they can't take on that. We need to sit down and find solutions to all the problems we see, all of us mentioned, the solution to them. We're not able to discuss them tonight, but what I can do, we have a bigger session of this, where we can have little committees. We're coming together to make recommendations and follow up because there's a lot of things happening in agriculture that the result of bad agriculture. There's a lot of people who want to, for example, I know recently a lot of people went to train in Trinidad and there's a few girls around who are walking in that involved there in that land. So while I heard the politicians say people are willing to agricultural scholarship. If you don't look at the statistics, you look around, you see that there's a lot of people who are knowledgeable in farming and agriculture who have that access. Just because one farmer who work with agriculture, they study in Trinidad. And because he couldn't find land and can't find a job, he was struggling with the party in Toledo. But he wanted to come home. A young man just into his studies. He studied in Trinidad, he also worked as an imani, was encouraged to go and improve his values in agriculture. He went on that. When he come home, he found himself on the street, went back to Trinidad, and told me he's out to do now, doing farming, which he feels that there's a lot of land on the board and he should be able to find some land so that to do that for himself. So with you, Max, I want to start here because I only short of time.
Yes.
But I really like to say that there's a lot more to the burning agriculture and what really give it serious attention.
Definitely. We will continue with the discussion, but we need to move on quickly. And of course, we would like to now bring on the Senator Roderick St. Clair. He's been involved with agriculture for many years. You know, I know him quite well, and I know he has a deep passion for agriculture. Senator St. Clair. Now, what are the enabling environment that should be necessary to support an agricultural-based economy? You've listened to Mr. Williams, you've listened to Ms. Joseph, you've listened to Dr. Barry, and there were some things that came out that was very, very instructive as it relates to the sector. From where you are in the Senate, making your contribution and fighting for farmers, what in your mind should be an enabling environment to help support an economy that is agricultural based?
Well, the first thing I would say from a policy, thank you so much, I would say is that we have to stop talking agriculture. I think that is the problem. We keep talking agriculture and we're not doing it and taking it forward. So that's the first challenge we have. We're talking around it, and Neckles spoke about it. Daniel spoke about it. A lot of talking around it and dancing around it, and while we're doing that, farmers are suffering. And I listen and Brother Donald speak, and so on. The farmers are totally disenchanted because the policies are not enabling. Now, what goes with the policy? And let us break it down so our listening public can understand that before we even go to policy, we must have a vision and an understanding as to where we want to really take agriculture. What is it supposed to be doing for us as a country? What is it supposed to be doing for us as a people? Whether it's for nutrition, whether it's for driving industries, whether it's for export, whatever it's going to be doing, what is that vision we have? And I know sometime around 2008, 2009, 2007, somewhere there was a strategic plan for agriculture. Heaven knows where that document is right now. Okay, and I guess there might have been many more before that. And then we go back to the revolution and you would see that the revolution had vision and a plan as to how things were supposed to happen, and things did take place. And then we speak about a plan that was done only recently by Mr. James sometime in 2015, 2016 thereabout, which is supposed to be a plan that takes us into, I think, a 20-year plan or something like that. I'm not too sure if we are doing today is linked to that plan. After we would have spent thousands of dollars, either us or CARICOM, to fund this project, when all of us would have contributed to the input. What has become to that? Because this is what is creating the vision. And then we speak about the political parties and the governments, as we say, leadership, which supposed to be taking the cue in the manifestos and all of those different things to build and drive and make sure those things happen. We have an export strategy. What has become of that? Those things are just sitting there. You know, so when we speak about policy, this is what drives policy. And then the other part of it, and this is significant, and that is what I understand now as a family senator, why a lot of things is not happening. Because even at the administrative level, there's a totally disconnect between what the parties may want to see, or the government may want to see, and what the people want to see, and how does the administrators make it happen. So sometimes something needs to happen, but the policy is not in place to make it happen, and nobody is bothering. So for example, Mr. Lewis will tell you that this whole biosafety and all of those sort of things and then policy was set up in different ways, and it's sitting there. We will tell you that since sometime in 2007, 2008, the geographic indication bill was drafted and it's sitting there. You know, it is the same issues. So when we speak about policy, I don't want us to be just saying, oh, let's talk about nice policies. We have to talk about the policy to make things happen. And that is why you would have found a few sittings of the Senate ago, I would have speak specifically to the issue of implementation, because the lack of implementation is also causing other policies not to happen. So, for example, say Mr. Lewis, for example, who would have retired over a year ago, the position in the Ministry of Agriculture for his position that was held is yet to be filled. Even if the policy says 3 months after the position is filled, is vacated, you're supposed to fill it. So this is the kind of problems that we have. The issue of implementation in itself is a problem. So I want to speak to that. Now, outside of that, the policies we have to be talking about is how do we have now persons working, implementing policies that will support the whole issue of market. So, for example, how are we supporting marketing board? I mean, poor Miss Josie there is trying her best. She maybe have a vision, but what policies are there to connect the different cooperatives, to connect the sort of business that she's doing? For example, right now, we have a big problem with, we have an issue now with freight out of the country. And the Board of Tourism is fighting to see how we could bring in tourists. And the Airport Authority has its own challenge to survive. You know, only this week I was speaking to Mr. Strand, who is the chairman of the Elif Committee. And how do we find a way to enable all this source up, that the policy is to market source up, because Grenada is the only country that could ship fresh source up to America. Right. So we produce more plants, we produce training, we produce tech pack, we have all kind of input and support and more processors and all these things. But when it come now to take the farmers' goods from them and to ship it, the policy fails because there's no mechanism to ensure that it's free to the oh, that has to be private sector. The farmers have to be business people. But we can't put them in that problem and then have a disconnect. So these are the type. So even if we say private sector to partner, they still have to be done in a proper way. And so when we come back to the issue of smart policies, so for example, I listened very important point that Neckles made, and a very important point that that Donald made. And we need to look at that. So why is the other person may not be coming to ask for loans in the agriculture sector? I think I have monies, people are not uptaking it. Where are the areas that we can have investment? Where are the areas maybe we can do a prototype, the same prototype that you're speaking about? Let's do prototype greenhouse that the same GDP would able to build throughout the country, connect that to the MNIB through some marketing mechanism, and invest the money inside of there, rather than maybe investing a lot of money with advertisement and promotion, trying to lure people to come to get loan to do what? Yeah, we build a set of bus sheds around the country, for example, in the corporate sector through the Chamber of Commerce, and not saying you don't have to do that. Look at what they are doing. Bus sheds to facilitate transportation. So what I'm saying is that let us look and see what are the policies that will support. So for example, infrastructure, that is a big issue. And infrastructure is not only about roads. We speak significantly, we need to have proper processing facilities to add value. And of course, Dr. Barry make it clear, the whole issue of agro-industrialization is driven from that. And then they will say, okay, it's a chicken and egg. But it's not a chicken and egg. If you live in a country that is a growing concern that the country will continue not posing up tomorrow, what is so wrong in finding maybe $2 million after the money that GDP has to set up a facility that you can get income from it as people use it and rent it to produce the whole thing, rather than who say, oh, I have $3 billion if people not coming for it. But if you establish that infrastructure, you may find now other persons, farmers and others, processors, renting this space on a time sharing basis and increasing agriculture output. So we have to go and look smart into these sort of areas. And what I'm saying is that all of these things have to, and then you will say, well, you know, the policy, and we have to do a cabinet submission. So at the political level, I have a lot of work to do. It continues because the debate is on. As you see, there's a lot of debate and motions and presentations. And the government also has to, in their own right, be sensitive to the needs of the people. I am on the ground with the farmers on a regular basis. How regular is the government there? Yes, you may have the Minister of Agriculture, have the Minister of Fisheries connecting, but the rest of the colleagues are far and distant. And how do we get them to come close and understand? So the same, they want youth empowerment and youth this and to do all of these things. But they go to Mr. Don and they say, let's put this and let's help with land. But there are bigger issues. The market connections, the market infrastructure. So where is the market information? What about spending $500,000 from the GDP, set up a whole marketing information system that the market users, like the MNIB, the supermarkets, etc., will be able to pay some charge that they can use it to be able to make their market play. So these are some real issues that we have to look at. I don't want to go into the period of last city and all of those other things like that, because we all have known that over and over. But from a month-to-month or a year-to-year basis, we also have the national budget, which drives policy again, because this is what would make the whole public service and government work. And the truth is, when you look at the performance, it's very miserable. And it's miserable because, again, there is lack of implementation, lack of timelines on which you could able to hold persons accountable. So it's a kind of laissez-faire attitude, but that is the reality. Now, you may say that is different, but then let's look at the results and you'll see what the results is showing. So these are some of the issues. As you mentioned, the issue of for example, farmers are saying, yes, we don't say we don't have a stimulus package, but why in the stimulus package had to be $14 million to do the bushing? How can that be maybe done to a productive way? That the same workers, the same individuals in the community can get a more sustainable job. Now, if the government doesn't understand how to do it, you have public servants there. If the public servants doesn't know how to do it, then you collaborate, as you suggested in your document here, both locally and overseas, and see what kind of models that we can do. But just jumping, I mean, to sit down and figure out that is a real master plan to change anything, I think it is happening. And of course, I have said before that even the output, which is the bush that is in the bush, then maybe we need to put that in compost. If you listen, the solid waste management, they have a big problem. They're saying, I think about 60 or 70% of the waste that go to the landfill is organic waste. I was in a program with them recently, Ms. Julian, saying, how can we cause households to hold their organic waste closer to make compost? Yet still, you have a set of organic waste on the side of the road that is being developed and just being dumped, heaven knows where, maybe some bush, or maybe just goes to it. So I don't think that we really understand, and I really think it's a matter of understanding is the problem. And so I think maybe we need to have a forum with the politicians and the technocrats to sit down along with the farmers and the fishermen and so on, and let us look at this thing seriously, because as right now, agriculture is losing. I mean, I'm sorry for the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Fisheries, they're trying, but they're fighting a real, I wouldn't say a losing battle, because at the end of the day, we must win. If we lose, all of us will die, because we need food and we need money to survive in this country.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Senator. Well said. And we're moving right along. I want to invite Dr. Barry now, because we're going to go straight into our conversation. A lot has been said, and there will be some other questions coming out of all the presentations here. So let's bring in Dr. Barry. Dr. Barry, I know you do have a couple of questions that you want to throw out to some of the other panelists.
Again, good night this time. Interesting discussion we have here, and again, I hope that after such discussions that some sort of solution, as the Senator quite rightly speak to, the idea of implementation can occur from that. But in relation to, I want to speak to Ms. Afia from Marketing Board, and my question that I want to ask is in relation to the value-added mandate as it relates to Marketing Board. So if you could speak to us about what are some of the value-added products that are currently being produced to Remarketing Board, and then in that light, if you could also speak to whether or not there is adequacy in terms of the raw materials that you would require for that value-added aspect of the Marketing Board, and also if you could also speak to if there are opportunities, or if that fits within the mandate of Marketing Board in how you collaborate with other up-and-coming local producers, local processors, so that their products can be also available via Marketing Board. If you could speak around that for us, please.
Okay, so I'll try to round it up. It's about 4 questions. The mandate of the Marketing Board does not require the Marketing Board to take on the creation of value-added products. However, in the aspect of export, it's an area that the company has to do in order to expand export. There are challenges with the export of local produce. It perishes really quickly. And in order to create sustainable export opportunities, value-added products are necessary for export. And so we have expanded, or we are actually in the process of research and development on several value-added products. Value-added products rolling out as early as the next few weeks. We're focusing in that area. We recognize that we have limited resources, and so we have chosen to extend beyond what we can do as an organization. We've already started talks with some of the major agro-processors on the island that have capacity to expand. There are a number of them who want to start doing some work with breadfruit and so forth, and have experience in that area. And what we find is that there are opportunities. We have fruits and vegetables that are wasting and falling on the ground, and we need to be able to do something as a country with these items. And so the challenge that's faced by some of our agro-processors is they don't have the capital to invest in equipment, etc., to start these value-added products. So we've started to work on some as well, and to see how we can facilitate and help acquire some of these equipment so that we could collaborate in a partnership to create value-added products that we will find markets for as well. So we've started that with regards to value-added products. We also are expanding on our fresh juice product. It's an area that the Marketing Board has already had a foot in, but with the absence of some of the juicing companies, it is rare to find real juice in the market right now. We essentially drink a lot of imported, canned, processed things. I don't even know sometimes what to call it. And we have our real fruit that's wasting. And so we've seized the opportunity to provide the market, and with buns, frozen and otherwise, those would be available. They are available. We also have some customers who already take that on, restaurants, hotels, and so forth, where we can give our tourists real juice to drink, also the soursop pulp and so forth. So we have looked at our capacity, the things that we can expand, we expand on, and the other items that we believe that we can merge with agro-processors to create good quality value-added products that can compete at an international level is also in place. So we look forward for those as well.
Right. I have a question I want to throw out, and I think I want to throw it to the Senator. Senator, we heard from Mr. Williams of the bank that one of the problems is, one, farmers failing to access the funding that is available for them to do things. We also heard from Mr. Lewis the issue of accessibility to land and labor to make things happen. It is a problem because if you have funding available and it is not accessible, my question is, one, is it that the process is extremely difficult, or is it a case where the information is so limited as to what can be done within the whole agricultural sector that probably people do not know what to do with the funding?
You see, thank God, you see, you come back to the issue of dialogue and disconnect. In that, yes, if you realize what has happened, notwithstanding the facts of this delinquent loans, etc., notwithstanding that, you realize that the whole issue of agriculture, and come back to policy again, has basically disappeared from within the whole GDP sector. It is there in a way that if you come up, you don't come up, well, you come up. It's not. It's there, but in italics. Yeah, and that is what I interpret, and that's not there, but it's in italics. No, you may say, okay, you have monies for agriculture. My understanding, I'm speaking to several farmers, is that it's a very tedious process. In fact, I spoke to a farmer only recently and he said, I'll go in the bank, stretch him out. So I say, in fact, it's on the agenda to contact Mr. Donald and Ms. Natasha and say, hey, let me see what this application form looks like. That is a question I would like to see. Is it a complex matter? And then sometimes the paperwork, people get turned off with those things. Even me, myself, sometimes we have too much paperwork. I just say, where the hell do I have to do all this paperwork? So that could also be some of the factor. But I think that things have to be purposeful. And so the question we have to ask ourselves, what is the need? Is it about $40,000 loan that I could just apply for? The question is, what am I using this for? So we have to really be sitting down and say, what are the real challenges that we see in agriculture that we want to incentivize? So is it a matter that we want to see greenhouses? Is it a matter that we want to say we need to produce, we need to supply inputs? What is the challenge that the farmer needs? And for that to happen, the Ministry of Agriculture, the MNIB, the supermarkets, etc., would be some of this. For example, farmers need crates. Other farmers need crates to move their goods. They would like to buy maybe 20 crates. But if they don't have the cash flow to buy the 20 crates, what they will do, they will put the product in all kind of funny packaging and bring it to market. Maybe that's all they need because they can survive on the cash flow that they have there, but they need $10,000 or $500 to get it done. So this is one aspect of the challenge. I think the issue of the labor, I know the ministry is doing a little bit of work on that in terms of trading some more specialized labor within the labor support program and which farmers can access. Again, that is fine. So, for example, labor we know is a big issue. And it's a cash flow issue. And so, for example, if the bank can say, look, we are going to provide maybe equivalent of up to $5,000 labor to help a man who is want to establish tomato crop or lettuce crop. So he know that he don't have to find this $200 or $300 or $500 every week to be paying his workers. But the workers can get paid straight to that cash flow directly from the bank every week. Whilst he can focus on the fertilizer and maybe other things, rather than running and don't have enough labor to take care of the crop. So the crop failed, not because of pest and disease, not able to have enough labor to take care of the crop. So it becomes what happens? You end up with a problem. And then we see all the farmer bad and you don't have insurance and all of this stuff. So what I'm saying is that we have to think deep. So when we remove and we put this agriculture thing inside all of that, when Mr. Donald maybe was a nice guy who was focusing on that and he could think creatively. Right now, he cannot think creatively to the extent because he's devoted to many other factors. And this is something that we identify in the national consultation we had with the Ministry of Agriculture and the issue of financing, where you need persons, as Mr. Donald mentioned, who would be there at that monetary level. But as I say, if you could say labor is an issue, how do you incentivize it specifically, which is a labor loan? And that is tied into the end of the crop so that you monitor and the marketing board know when they get it, the money goes out to the bank. So what I'm saying, we have to find creative ways of doing these things. And we have to find those people who have little thoughts and ideas. And I say, I am always available once I have good strength and help to assist. But then again, they may come back and say, well, no, this thing wasn't set up for that, And because they have to find a collateral. But the collateral to me in this case is the crop. And then of course we are very happy with the credit guarantee scheme, which I think is an excellent point, and we have to use it smartly. So if you do that, more persons could be connected. But again, farmers and whatever they are, whether it's fish, they need market and they need guaranteed market. And that's a dialogue I'm having with the Tourism Association and others, where also have the MNID, which is playing their part. We need to have guaranteed markets through contracts so that we could better able to guarantee the money transfer and also the farmer investment. So these are just some.
Thank you, Senator. I just want to let folks know that this forum continues next Wednesday evening at the same time. So don't think that we are cutting you short. The information will come out because we're continuing next Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. So we have a final question we're going to take from Dr. Barry to the panelists before we wrap for this evening. Dr. Barry? Okay,
the Senator spoke research and development. So and probably this question can go across the board as it relates to research and development, because research and development informs decision. It informs us as to where we are going, etc. So from the perspective of the bank, for example, what research has been done to determine why there is such a low intake in relation to the funds, etc., and what has the bank been doing to make itself visible and the opportunities, and so it has visible for the persons to be able to access it. And then again, research and development as it relates to what is happening with the challenges that we experience, in what is driving these challenges, what are the drivers behind these challenges that we are experiencing, what research has been done in these areas to determine that. So research and development is critical, and I think going forward, Godfrey, this is where we would want to take such a discussion also to find out the role research and development plays in terms of informing us along the entire trajectory as it relates to agricultural development. So from the perspective of MNIB, what sort of research and development is done there? From the perspective of the challenges that we are experiencing, as Mr. Lewis would have spoken to, what is taking place there? From the sector of the bank, you know, all, and how do we link? What are the linkages? Research and development is critical, and investment in that. So these questions, therefore, is how are we using research and development to inform and to help us inform decisions going forward.
Thank you, Dr. Barry. Folks, now that's all the time we have for this evening, but as I said earlier, we continue next Wednesday right here at 8 o'clock. We will continue to look at the contribution of agriculture to the national revenue. We'll also look at the issue of food security a little more in depth, and also the area of employment. We will also look at farm perspective as a financial outlay to farmers, and of course the future direction of the MNIB. We also want to engage Mr. Williams again on the capacity development opportunities for farmers, and also we continue looking at some of the other challenges as it relates to food and nutrition and health. We also want to touch a little bit on the blue economy and youth and women's engagement in the sector, which is a very, very critical thing. And we also want to continue engaging the Senator next week on the issue of human capital, collaborative regional approach, and of course the public-private partnership. I would give each of our panelists 30 seconds to just say good night. We start with Dr. Barry.
Godfrey, seems you always have before.
Yes, I'm starting with you.
I welcome this discussion, and I hope that it would be a continuation. So I take this opportunity to say thanks and to say good night to all our listeners and to our distinguished panelists and to our technical persons behind the scenes.
Yes, thank you very much. Ms. Joseph?
From the entire team of the MNIB, we're very thankful to be here and very grateful to have been able to present, share our perspective, and listen to the perspective of the other panelists. So we'll see you again on Wednesday, where we have another heated discussion.
Mr. Williams?
Godfrey, I just want to thank you for having us and giving me the opportunity to share on behalf of the bank. I really like the direction in which the discussion went. I particularly taking note of some of the things coming from Senator St. Clair, and I think even outside of forums like these, we need to have some sessions where we can sit down and discuss those perspectives and what we can do as a financier. But you always have to realize our role is financing. But what can we do as a financer to help move the industry forward? We are always open to discussion with all the stakeholders as we continue to play our role as a developer.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neckles?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Before I come to the program, I spoke to some farmers. I know you said to me, I say, the water trade, the cost of it. We have this for those forms that we are doing. Then, doing that, benefiting the farmers, I hope that we will do an evaluation of all the problems that we identified and come to some the solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator St. Clair?
Yeah, thank you, Godfrey. And I want to thank all those who sit up and stay up for the night and listening to us and following, and of course to the rest of my colleagues in the panel here. Of course, as Donald mentioned, I myself take a lot of notes and a lot of recording of key points that is raised, because as I continue to work on behalf of our farmers and fishers of this country, and I want to say and leave it by saying, let's stop and work. And that is what we need to get going on. And if we don't know how to act, I'm available to help.
Thank you very much, Senator St. Clair. And I do welcome that. Less talk and more action. This is what we hope we can, make happen out of this. And I would call it the final talk. Because coming from this final talk, you're going to see action. And of course, the team that we've put together, I know that they're willing and they're ready. Let me apologize to our listeners and viewers that we weren't able to accommodate your calls this evening, but we wanted to get the information out. But don't forget, next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, we continue with taking agriculture forward, and we will be engaging you, our viewers and listeners. Thanks again to the panelists. Thanks to our viewers. Thank you, everyone. Do have a good night and all the best. We see you on Wednesday of next week.